Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to AIEC's Webinar Weeks. AIEC Webinar Weeks aims to address today's industry challenges and opportunities along with solutions and tips on how to overcome them. If this is your first time joining us for AIEC Webinar Weeks, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. We're glad to have you. We have a good lineup for today. Today's presentation, our first one, will last roughly 45 minutes. We'll leave some time at the end for question and answers. We do ask that you submit your questions through the chat function in Zoom. You can do that by clicking on the chat icon at the lower part of your screen, and then please select AIEC, direct those chats to AIEC, and Brian and I will get those, and we will moderate those on your behalf to our presenter today. Before we get started though, for those of you that attended in our previous series, this is series 3, but for those of you that attended series 2 and completed the survey that Ashley sent out that qualified you to be entered into our grand prize drawing giveaway. So we're going to do a quick drawing this morning for a $100 Amazon gift card. We've got all of our names in a fancy CoBank hat here, and mix them up.
We've got Larry Burns with SIPC. So I don't know if he's on this one or not, but we'll contact him and make sure he gets his Amazon gift card.
All right. And this particular webinar is not eligible for PE credits. However, we do have some webinars coming up this afternoon that do qualify. I'll let Brian touch on that a little bit. But our topic for today is MSDSonline, presented by Velocity EHS. I'll turn it over to you, Brian.
All right, real quick on PE credits. Like Dan said, this one does not qualify. The two this afternoon do. So if you are a professional engineer and are interested in getting some PDHs, make sure you register for those, and we'll get you a link sent out, and make sure you hop on those webinars. With that, our presenter today is Donald Smuskowitz. He is the account manager for Velocity EHS. He's the account manager for Illinois and Missouri, and he has 5 years of experience handling the SDS management system. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Donald.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you to Ashley for setting this up, and thanks Dan and Brian for getting everything going here. I do want to say we are going to go through the system a little bit here, so if there are any questions, make sure you throw them in the chat, and Dan and Brian will be helping me get those out there so I can answer them as promptly as possible. But yeah, I want to just start off by thanking everybody who's out here today. What we're going to talk about is our MSDSonline account. Now, I know there's a mix of people on here, some people who are already on the system, some people who might not be. So I'm going to go through the system itself, show some of the functionality, as well as some of the ways that it's taken work off your plate, as well as making things safer for your employees. So we'll jump into it here. Want to just start off, the SDS management solution is what we're talking about. I do know it can be confusing. Velocity EHS is who we are, but the MSDSonline portion is the SDS management solution. For those of you who are on the system already, you're probably more familiar with that MSDSonline name. So quick plan for today. Take a little bit of time to learn more about Velocity EHS, who we are and how we help. Then I really want to jump into the system itself and really make that the meat and potatoes of this webinar today. Go through there. If there's any questions, let's have them as we're going. If anything needs to wait till the end, I will leave 15 minutes to go through any questions that we have. So jumping into who Velocity EHS is, right now we're an industry leader with over 19,000 customers. We do a lot of different things within the environmental health and safety sphere, but most of those customers are coming from our SDS management platform. Couple other things is just, we have a 97% retention rate. And we have over 10 million users, and that's just in the US. We're slowly seeing a large, kind of pop off in the international space as well as we kind of grow, and, EHS becomes a bigger topic for a lot of people. As I mentioned, industry leader, typically we're seeing awards every year. The one I'm most proud of working on the SDS management side is up in that top left corner, is the best SDS management product. There's a lot of them out there, and it's a growing space. So to be named the top product for 4 years, we're hoping for 5 this year. It's a huge thing for us. We have a ton of vendor partners, and I'm going to kind of hit on next is some of the partners we have within the electric cooperative space. Like I mentioned, I work directly with the Missouri and the Illinois co-ops, but my colleagues work with Iowa, Indiana, Wyoming. On top of that, we have well over 100 just standalone, co-ops that have signed up with us. I used to work with Oklahoma and Texas, so I've signed up a lot of those, but we work a lot with electric co-ops. So we understand what your needs are, what, problems you're facing. And with that, our system is really going to help kind of get all of that off your plate, as well as, make your life easier because you're not going to have to update and manage these anymore. So that's my quick spiel at the start. Really what I want to do here now is get into the system itself. So let's jump into that. I will ask Dan or Brian just to confirm for me that the screen has switched over.
Looks good. We can see it done.
Awesome. So this is the MSDSonline account. Like I said, some of you might be kind of familiar with this. Some of you might have never seen this before. So this is really your landing page as an administrator. This is where all of your products are going to be housed. This is where you can go to quickly and easily pull up a document. Right here, this little green View PDF button is kind of your go-to button when you find what you're looking for. You click that, and that will always pull up your document. So from here, you have the ability to read off it, print it, send it in an email, take a picture of it, whatever you need to do to make sure that that information is either A, getting to the employee, or you know what you're looking for right from there. And now, like I said, this is kind of your house for all of your documents. Now, I'm not sure any specific electric co-op itself is using 4,000 different documents. And the reason for that is it is nicely broken down by location. So right now I am looking at all of the different locations documents. So that's why there's so many, but let's use, we'll use MJM here as an example. You click that and apply, and now that's going to pull up just the products that are being used there. The cool thing with this is, if you're only using MJM, the system will remember what you last logged in as. So if I put in MJM one time, you're not going to have to, put it in every time unless you're going on a different computer. It's going to remember as long as you're on the same computer, smartphone, internet-enabled device. And so this would be the specific, binder for those locations here. Same thing as always, you click your View PDF button to pull up a document, but you also have the ability to search. If you're looking for, a specific document, or, you're looking for things by a specific manufacturer, you can search right from there and pull up that specific results, because it's not always going to be in your best interest to scroll through 280 products to, find what you're looking for. If you were looking for Tough Seal, all you do is you type that in and it'll take you right to any product with Tough Seal in it. And so right now there's a good amount of the co-ops that are on there. As you can see, they have the ability to have their own location, but even then from there, within their location, they can drop down into even smaller, what we call locations, but you can think of them as departments, areas, buildings, anything like that. just to help make sure those documents are as easy to search and pull up as possible. Now that's just the main going through of the documents, how they're housed. What I do want to make sure I hit on here are a couple of the things that can kind of make your lives the most difficult when it comes to keeping up with these documents. The first one here is the queue. What the queue is, it's a holding pen for all of your updated documents. So with this, with our system, we proactively go out and update your documents for you, making, going through and doing those updates a thing of the past. Our team will go through, update, a couple different ways. They're going to look at the oldest documents and try and update those. We have manufacturer trade agreements with some of the bigger manufacturers that as soon as there's an update, they send it right to us, as well as just general searching that our team does and finds those documents. Finding those to the tune of about 10,000 a week. So anytime that there's one that you have in your system, we're going to send it right to you so you can get that update as quickly as possible. Really going to take the updating out of your hands and make it something that we're going to do moving forward. Make sure you guys stay in compliance and you're not putting much work into it. Along with that, I also want to hit on this MSDSonline search. Really what this is, a database, our database of over 17 million documents that you can search through at any time to add documents to your specific e-binder. So just for an example here, let's use acetone. It's going to come back with a ton of different results because there's a lot of different acetones, as well as there's a lot of products that have acetone in them. So about 5,400. Any other information I can give will always bring that down. So if I could add, by high purity products, or if I could include that CAS number. Any other information is always going to get it as narrow as possible, but you have the ability to, if it's something that is not very generic, if there's only going to be a couple products, let's just use this as example, you can add it to your e-binder, and this is where you can actually pick what location you're in. So like I said, if MJM wanted to add this, they can click that and submit it. And that way it'll be in the MJM system. So really maintaining compliance is as simple as, the hands-off updating process and just making sure you add in those chemicals anytime that they're not in your e-binder currently. So your electronic binder of documents. If you do that, everything will stay updated and your employees will have access to the documents. So we're jumping back to the home page here. What I do want to mention with this is this uploads and requests tab. Really what this means is in the case that you can't find a document, you can request it and our team will go out and get it for you just to make sure that you have the document. We're not going to punish you if you can't find what you're looking for in our system, because that's the point of our system, is to make things there for you. So you can request or upload it in the case that you're unable to find what you're looking for. The last thing on this side that I want to hit on is this backups tab. So the backups tab, it's required of us to give to you to make a fully electronic system fully compliant. But really what it is, it allows you to quickly create a file or print a backup of your documents. No rules on how often you need to use it, but it's always going to be there and available to you because that's what OSHA has told us, and we're going to make sure that we stay compliant by them. That is a general overview of the administrator system. For those of you that are in the system, it probably looks pretty familiar. For those of you who aren't, very easy to go through and pull up the documents. A lot of the updating will be on the back end and you're not even going to have to worry about it. Really just making sure you search through. It's same as about a Google search to put up those documents and get them in your system. After that, it's totally off your plate and you don't have to worry about it. So I do want to pause before we move along. Are there any questions in the chat, or does anybody have any questions that they'd like to throw in the chat?
No questions at this time.
Awesome. Pretty straightforward and self-explanatory, but I always like to double check. let's jump over to what we call the general user side. Now this side is going to be exactly the same. First thing you'll notice is you're not going to notice a difference as it goes over. And the reason for that is this side is going to be for all of your employees to get access to the system. It's a unique URL. I know there was a small issue with it wasn't printing out, or the URL wasn't sending properly. The issue's been fixed now, and all those documents are available via that URL. Again, all you would need to do is switch your location to whatever location you're currently at.
Don, I'm going to inject real quick. We did have a question come in.
Okay.
How do you bring up a cooperative binder on iOS? So that's an iOS compatibility question.
iOS and I believe that's like Apple, correct?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. So couple different ways. The system itself is compatible with any internet-enabled device. So like Safari, so if like you have a Mac, you can pull it up right on Safari there. As well as we do have smartphone apps for Apple and Android that will allow for you to pull this information up right from the app. So it comes through the URL, you just put it in that one time, and it will automatically take you to this page. And then, like I said, every time you're on that, if it's your personal computer, it'll stay locked onto, whichever location you click. If it's, something that people are going in and changing the locations, you'll have to do that each time because it remembers the last location it was in. Otherwise, it's as simple as, just having that internet-enabled device and putting in that URL. Or if you have the Apple or Android smartphone app, it's really once you put that URL in your location in, it's going to take you right to that page every time. And if there's any further questions on that, make sure to throw them in the chat. But I think that should be, what you were looking for, because it's really, we try to make it so it works with any, iOS. Really, we wanted to do any internet-enabled device there. And so, like I said, you put your location in, it's going to pull up only your documents for those locations. And then your employees have the ability to search, pull up those documents. Anything they need, the information is considered yours. So print it, save it, whatever needs to be done. Now, the difference is all those kind of bells and whistles that we had seen earlier on the administrator side. This side is strictly read only for your employees. So they can't change anything, they can't delete anything. And that's why there's no password protection. And that's because OSHA has specifically come down and said that this side can't be password protected. This side needs to be easily accessible. And so that's what we do. You can get access right from there whenever you need it. One thing I do want to mention with the smartphone app, because I have run into this with other co-ops, is it allows for offline access as well. So if you're ever out in the field and, internet access is not the best or non-existent, you can get access to your documents through the app as long as, you were in internet range at one point. The system will kind of update with all the documents at that moment, and then you can get those documents when you're out in the field with no internet access. So really, we try to make it as easy as possible for you guys to have access to the documents.
And now I have another question that's come in.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm understanding this correctly. I'll read it and then we'll try and decipher. When entering an SDS, it would show it already existed, but I couldn't tell whose e-binder it was in. So is there a way to tell where that lives, whose e-binder that SDS is in?
Oh, okay, so yep, I think, let me go back here. Let me try and use a chemical that I know you guys have in here when I search. We've got an easy one. Actually, let's use Champion Premium Windshield. So let's jump back to the search here. I'm just typing in because I want to find the one that you have in your system already. Yeah, so the issue that I think is, that's strange. What was the specific chemical name here? So what you're saying is you're going to add a document and it shows that it's in the system, but it doesn't show you where the document lives within the system, like what location already has it. And with that, there's just a simple way where if you look up the document here within like this eBinder, so I was looking up this one right here. All you have to do, typically you're going to view PDF. If you click it right here, it's going to tell you what locations it's in use. So if you view product inventory, this tells me that this location is at, obviously the corporate level and then MJM. So from here, you can actually add to your location. So like, let's say that you realize, okay, we're using this Champion Premium Windshield De-icer. You can actually add to new location right from there. So if you search in the database and it shows that it's already in the system, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come to the eBinder, search for that same chemical, and then add it to your location if that's what you're looking to do. Or if you're just looking to see if it's something you want to bring on, obviously you can pull it up from there. But anytime that you see something already in there, you're just going to want to jump back to the eBinder then, and that's how you can see where that product lives, whether it's at a couple locations or just a single location. And does that seem like that hit on the question, if that was your specific question?
Don, I believe that answered the question.
Okay.
I would just ask if we need further clarification, just please reach out to us in the chat.
Yep, absolutely. Perfect. Well, like I mentioned with this side, really just focused on super easy access. Good way to show is, all of those, kind of bells and whistles are gone. The only other thing is your employees have the ability to search and add their documents on this side of the system, on the general user side. So your administrators aren't going to have to add it every time. Now, the cool thing with the system is before they add in a product, it will send over to the administrator saying, Joe Smith wanted to add this chemical, confirm or deny. So then that way the administrators can keep an eye on everything without having to actually put any of the work into that. And so, keeping it high level, if there's any questions, I can get deeper into it. That is really, look at the system, a look at your specific system at AIC. I really want to just take this time. I know everybody, I want to be mindful of everyone's time. I know we're a little bit early, but I really want to just open it up to questions. If there's any questions that anybody has, or anything that I can dig into, if you have if you're in the system and you have something you want to dig deeper into, let's do that as well as any questions for those that maybe aren't in the system or just have a high level question.
We do have a question here. Says, can you go over how to get the apps on tablets or phones? But before you answer that, Dawn, I would just say, I think it's appropriate at this time, if we want to open it up for verbal questions, please feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask Dawn those questions directly. I think maybe that'll promote a little bit more open dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quickly for the Apple and Android, I'm pulling it up on my phone here real quick. I'm going to try. We used to have like a computer thing that showed how the app worked, but we don't have it right now because we just updated the app. But really all you have to do is you go into the Apple App Store, or I do not know what it's called with Android, wherever you would get your apps. And if you look up eBinder MSDSonline, You'll want to download that. And then, like I said, it'll ask you to put your URL in, or if you're an administrator, it'll ask you for your password and login. And then from there, you know, that phone will have access via that app. And then that's where you can also get the offline access if, you know, you're worried about internet access or being in a remote location that doesn't have internet. So I can't pull it up. I can hopefully just show you which app you should be using when you're searching. It's called, but if you look up eBinder MSDSonline, that will pull up exactly what you're looking for. I hope it shows on. I don't think it's going to, is it? I tried to see if I could share. I'm not that technologically savvy. I thought maybe I could share it on my screen, but it wasn't going through. So yeah, as simple as that. Just type in the eBinder MSDSonline and get the app right from there. But great question. Were there any other questions? I know Brian and Dan said we could open it up. Did anybody else have any questions?
No other questions at this time to the chat, Dawn. I am doing a search here. Maybe could you describe what the icon looks like? Because I know a lot of times when you're doing a search in the App Store, you know, I ran a search for eBinder MSDS, and several different apps come up for that. And I'm sure there's a specific one designed to work with your product.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can, if this is coming through, let me know. It's the one right there. And it's an SDS binder next to a barrel drum container, and it's like a purplish blue color. And it says SDS/chemical management is the actual app that you're looking for.
Yeah, so when I did a search for SDS chemical management, it came right up. So that would be the app name, SDS/chemical management.
Yep. And then it's, like I said, it's like a bluish purple, darkish blue, purple color. And it says SDS binder, and then it has a container with the little velocity circle in the bottom right corner. And yeah, you pull that up. You have access, as long as your co-op has access to the system, you put your information in, either your URL for your user side or your login information if you're an administrator, and you have access right from there.
So Don, on the app, when you put it on a employee's tablet or whatever, they will have to sign in with their own. So we'll have to set up for each employee.
No, so the administrator is the person who's got the password login. Every employee will just put in the URL. Usually we just see it sent out via an email, and they just copy and paste that URL one time, and they're in the system.
Okay.
Yeah, so only the administrators who have the ability to get in there and change and delete stuff, they're the ones that will have the access with the login.
eBinder, okay?
Okay, so when we want to set them up, we just send you the information, or does that come to me when I
SDS eBinder.
log in?
Let me see what ones come up.
So the information, the URL is, the administrator has access to pull up the URL. Are you on the system already, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the administrator, let me jump back here to the administrator side. The administrator actually will have access to pulling up the URL, and then, like I said, that can be done, via smartphone access or anything. But if you go to, I believe, I always forget here, I want to say it's, yep, right here. This is the URL to your system. So if you're an administrator, general users will not have access to this. They'll need the administrator to help get that to them. And then you can just copy that link, send it to them, and then all they have to do is copy and paste this right in. They don't have to log in, anything. And once they do it once, it's good to go.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I believe I had just worked through some of these. There was not an issue. It was you guys had your system set slightly different where that wasn't available. Amber and Brenda and I had worked through it, and it should be good to go where anyone who has administrator access can get in there. That was a great question. Does anybody have any other questions? And were there any in the chat by any chance?
Donald, I do have one more question.
Yep.
So we've had this program for a while. Two things on iOS. It seems like when you bring up in the app, like, and I do have the correct app that you showed, it's what we've had before.
Mm-hmm.
Do they require that the password is changed from time to time? Here's why. Just bringing this back up, it kind of causes you to check things. And like, I just brought in a guy's iPad. You could see where I had downloaded the app onto his iPad, so he had it. I went on, or I don't care, everybody knows this, like our username was always Cornbelt. The password was Cornbelt employee. So typed it in, says there's an issue, password is incorrect. So is it asking us to change the password, or?
So I do know the system does do password changes. I don't know the exact time frame, but if that's your normal password and it's saying it's incorrect, what I did maybe somebody change the password because they were prompted to, not like on their own. But I know it will prompt you every once in a while to update your password just for safety concerns, like IT safety concerns. And so that's where it may have gotten changed by that, just because somebody was prompted to do it. If you are still having that issue, you can, shoot me an email and I can, have that switched, the password. So it's, something, because we don't want to, block you out of access. But yeah, it will require password changes. I want to say it might be something where it might be yearly, but I'm not exactly sure. So I can find out what the time frame it requires.
So that was the issue. I guess my question is, you have two access points. One is the admin access point, which is mine, which I brought up. It works. It did ask me to, sorry about that, to change my password. Which I did, which was successful. The issue is, like the gentleman's I just checked, it doesn't ask him. So it's saying the password is incorrect, which we tried it like 3 or 4 times to make sure we were typing in it right. But then it didn't ask to like change your password. So I guess my question is like, is it still wanting the password changed? Was there something sent out that the person missed? I guess for our lineman side, outdoor operations side, I think the guys there would probably agree with this. They're not going to be checking for an email from, MSDSonline to change their password. It's something that we're going to want to do administratively that goes out to everyone. Otherwise, I think that when they go to access this, they're not going to have access to it.
Yeah, and okay, I see what you're saying. I think the issue there might be the linemen shouldn't be accessing it with a password. They should just have to put that URL in once. So when you go into the app, it should ask you administrator or general user. And if you click that general user side, that's where you put in the URL that one time. And then they have access moving forward. They don't have to re-log in every time. They don't have to change their password. The only one who should be putting in their password each time is yourself as the administrator.
That's kind of what I thought. The issue is not seeing, it's not asking for a URL. Even on mine, like when I logged in, I'm guessing it just remembers me. Like when you go into the save content, shows name as the administrator, shows company as association electric cooperative, so it's obviously set up correctly. Password change is fine. On the employee side, it's not asking for a URL. It's asking for that password. And I can tell you this, when we push this out, the only, just to give you the history, because I helped do it, was we downloaded the apps, pushed the app out to, we pushed the app out to all the iPads, like all 70.
Yeah.
And then all we did was instruct them to put in their username and their password, and then that opened up, and it was working. Like everything we had put in was there. Now there's a URL you want us to use, or so, has something changed a little bit?
So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. You know, what we did, so when you log in, and I don't know if this is, I hope there's, you know, some level that you can see, there's a login with your username, and that would be for the administrators. And then there's this login, it says don't have username or password. And when you click that, that's where you put in your URL right there and then log in. And it should, that should from there, you know, ensure they have access moving forward with no issues.
Okay.
So it might be something where, like having them, and I don't know if this is possible, you know, you work more closer, but it might be something where just if they log out and then log in that way, it's a one-time thing, and then they should be back up and good to go. It might be something too with like, you know, the big thing with like Apple and Android is there's been a lot of change over, you know, pretty quickly over the last, you know, if you think the last 5 to 10 years. So it might have been an old login way that we had, but this way, you know, it's one time if they have to, you know, log out, log back in with just the URL, and they should be good to go. If there's any issues where it's not working properly like that, let me know, but that should cover them moving forward, where if they need to go in, they click the app and it takes them right to, you know, the specific page for their documents.
And Don, we had a similar question to what Darren was just asking. Maybe just a little bit more clarification there. From what I'm hearing, in order to enter the URL, so we have an end user that we don't want to require a login for. They're going to make sure that they select that don't have username password option when they open the app, and then it gets prompted to enter the URL. And that should get them right in. Could you go over one more time? I think you went over this already, but how do we get that URL? So we're going to need to, I'm assuming, log in as an admin. We need to generate or get that URL that we want to provide to the end user.
Yeah, so anyone who is an administrator for their location can get access to that. And so you would just log in normally as you would. Obviously, this wouldn't be, it wouldn't say Amber, it would be for yours. And you just go to this manage, I always get it wrong here. Nope, wrong one. Manage roles, and scroll down to this page right here. So right up here, manage roles, take you right down to this page, and then this is your URL. So you can copy it. Obviously, you can copy it the old-fashioned way, or you can just click this copy link button. It'll copy it, and then usually the other electric co-op or associations of electric co-ops that I work with, they usually just send out an email to everyone that is using like an iPad or would need to use an iPad and say, you know, here's your link. Make sure you go, don't have a username and password, put this link in, log in, and you're good to go.
And so if someone doesn't see those options, if the only options they're seeing is product summary, settings, and inventory and locations, is it possible that they don't have the appropriate access?
It is possible. I know that if they don't, this doesn't change. So this is something that Amber could copy and paste, or Brenda could copy and paste and get sent out, because this is going to be your URL specific one. But I believe that actually it might be something that not everybody has access to this side, that it might just stop here. So my apologies on that. If you don't, I can either send it out or, you know, Brenda or Amber, but like I said, it's just this right here and you're good to go.
Okay, perfect. I think that's something that maybe you and I and Brenda can work on the back end, because that was going to lead to my next question is that URL specific to each individual cooperative? And it sounds like it is not. It sounds like it's one URL for everyone.
Yeah, so when they put in the URL, it will take them to this page right here. Obviously, it won't say welcome Amber. It'll be the general user side. And then that's where that first time, you know, they go in and they pick their co-op and apply. But because it's, you know, the iPad that's being used for just that facility, you know, it will always go to that one unless you're going in and changing, you know, what location you're using. So if you're, you know, always out of the, let's just use the Illinois Electric Cooperative, if you apply and using that every time, you don't have to, you know, go in and switch every time. It'll happen the one time and then you're good to go. But yeah, the URL does come in for all locations.
And I've got a couple others here that say they don't have access to that link as well. So that definitely sounds something like we need to get on top of here at AIEC. Again, I work with Brenda, and we'll make sure that we get that out to everyone.
Yeah, and so I apologize because the way you guys are set up, there's only one primary administrator who it's going to be Brenda. But like I said, it's that manage user roles will only be available to her, but the URL is not like specific. So she can copy and paste that if once she sends it out, or I can send it out. However, you know, me and Brenda want to go through and do that. Everyone will have, you can use that same URL link. It's not like specific or changing or anything like that. So yeah, we will 100% make sure we get that out to everybody.
Sounds good. And for those of you that are maybe curious who Brenda is, Brenda Carter is our newest employee here at AIEC, and we welcome her. She's definitely got an exceptional background in regulatory and compliance. She's our new Vice President of Regulatory and Compliance and has replaced Courtney Graham. So I'm sure you all will be hearing from her shortly over the next several weeks and months.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. No, these have all been really good questions because we want to make sure the system is working as smoothly as possible. Does anybody else have any questions or anything that they've noticed with the system that they'd like to go through?
No questions in the chat, Don.
Absolutely. Well, if there's, I can wait a little bit just in case there's any questions, because I know we're a little bit early. Obviously, if there's any questions, feel free. I can give my email if there's any questions. I can't specifically help with anything. We do have a customer support team. So for certain things, I do say that I might have to, you know, send it over to someone that's a little bit smarter than me. But for most things, I'm able to help or, you know, at least get in touch with the person who can get us the answer as quickly as possible. But like I said, for any like higher level IT issues, if that's anything that you guys are running into, we do have a like system specialist that can help out with anything like that. So feel free to send any questions, or if you just didn't want to ask anything, send them my way. I'm happy to help. Otherwise, I can throw it back to Dan and Brian here and you know, let them take it away. But if there's anything else, you know, I will get my email out for everybody to, you know, throw any questions my way if necessary.
Thank you, Don. While we're waiting, maybe we'll get a couple of questions here. We do have a few minutes left. I do want to say we have 3 other webinars coming up this afternoon, or we've got 1 more this morning and 2 this afternoon. Geo for Co-ops is up next, State of the Industry and Technology. And then this afternoon, we have Power Transformer Lifecycle Management. That is eligible for professional education credits. And we also have medium voltage 15 to 35 kV product design advancements. Is that 3,500 kV? Is that okay? Yeah. And that is eligible for PDH credits as well. So if you haven't registered for those and you'd like to, please take a moment and go out and register for that. If registration is closed for some reason, you can send an email to Ashley Graham. She would be more than happy to get you taken care of and set up for that. Also, just a quick reminder, all of our webinar series webinars are recorded. We do make those available on AIEC.coop/webinar weeks under the archive. So if you've missed out and were unable to attend a previous webinar, would like to go back and review that, those are available for today's webinar and upcoming webinars over the next several weeks. Those will be rolled out after this series has completed. We do intend on doing another grand prize drawing. So at the end of our series, if you've attended today or any of our upcoming webinars, that will get you entered into our grand prize drawing that we will have following the series 3 at the end of March. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Brian, did you have anything to add?
I think that's it. Don, you don't happen to have a slide with your email or anything on it, do you? Oh, there it is in the chat. So if anybody wants to reach out to Don, he just put his email address in the chat. Feel free to contact him if you have any other questions, or reach out to one of us and we can get you guys in contact with them as well.
I totally forgot about putting a slide with all my information. So yes, the email's in there. I'm always with my phone or at my desk. So happy to answer any questions. Like I said, if anything high level, I can definitely get you to the right person. We have great customer service reps here, but some of the smaller stuff I can help you out with right away on my own.
Yeah, like Brian said, you can always feel free to reach out to Brian, myself, or Brenda. Brenda will be kind of transitioning and taking this over. I know Mary rolled this out initially. Amber kind of took that over in the interim, and then Brenda will be taking that over moving forward. So be on the lookout for contact information for Brenda. Brenda's, I can give that to you now, bcarter@aiec.coop, or again, just feel free to reach out to myself and we'll get you to the right place. So with that, Don, thank you so much for your time today. Very informative. I think we maybe had some struggles here, but it looks like this is going to get us back on the right track. I'll work with Brenda and see if we can't put maybe some instructions together, a little bit more comprehensive instructions to send out to our member cooperatives so that they can make sure that their employees can access this system easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, thank you very much for having me. Thank you for everybody who was in here. One thing I do want to say is if there was anybody here who is not in the system that would want to get in the system, if you would like, just send me an email. If you could also put Brenda on there as well. We can definitely talk through getting any other co-ops that aren't in the system yet on the system. We can talk through that. Otherwise, yeah, thank you for having me, and I look forward to working together and answering any questions if they come along.
Sounds good. Thanks, Don. And that concludes our first webinar week session this morning. Thank you all very much.